Part 61. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 601. Bigo and Jianyang did not doubt what Qi Changjai said, because what happened in the ruins had already been circulated in Zhangzhou City, and even they had to admit that Jingyu Tianxian did such a thing. It is full of malice for the monks who enter it. Fellow Daoist Qi, alchemist Gu, it's not that we want to test anything, all this is just a meeting they originally meant to visit Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, but it happened that the two of them had entered the ruins again, and it was the last one. It's not them who came out of it, and there are other people who will turn their attention to them. Jianyang followed Bigo and nodded, yeah, in fact, the two of us want to find the ancient alchemist to make some medicinal pills. The ancient alchemist's current level of alchemy should not be worse than the spiritual world. Gu Yao said frankly, fortunately, when I entered the Shui Yuxian zone fragment in the spiritual world, I got the pill technique jade slip left by a senior, and later when I killed a group of star thieves, I got it from them. If you get something on your body, if the pills you want are not too out of the ordinary, you can get them below the common ground level, but the quality cannot be guaranteed, so I can only do my best. Bigo and Jianyang were overjoyed when they heard the words. Gu Yao's luck was really good, it took so many years for him to come to the immortal realm. As for the quality, the two still have confidence in Gu Yao, because they know that Gu Yao's own soul power is special and his control power is extremely good. The two brought the immortal grass to Gu Yao, which is indeed a relatively common medicinal pill. They collected a batch before leaving the sect, just thinking of Gu Yao's exaggerated quality of medicinal pills. They did not have the idea of being able to complete the task for sure, but if they could harvest a batch of medicinal pills, the trip was worth it. Gu Yao took the elixir into the pill room. These pills cannot be made in a day or two. Qi Changjai entertained the two of them outside, and the atmosphere was very good. In the past, Bigo and Jianyang would look up at Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. Although there was a reason for their talent, it was more of the master behind Gu Yao, so when they were in the spiritual world, it was inevitable that they had a high mentality. There is a point in the speech. This time, the situation was different. In addition to the master behind Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were also of great value. In the past, because of all kinds of scruples in the spiritual world, I couldn't tell them too much about the fairy world, but now they can talk freely. The two people in Changqi Xianmen know the situation in the fairy world better than Fang Kaiubai and the others. More, especially about the battlefield of the Void Beast, Qi Changjai had never heard of it from Fang Kaiubai. The city lord's mansion has always left all kinds of affairs to the city lord under his subordinates, but during this period of time, he has stayed outside and inquired about the affairs of the city. Zhou Tong had a headache. At first, the ruins were very happy. He thought that he could get some opportunities with his own strength. Let them come too. Zhou Tong is worried that if they disagree, they will fight, and then Zhang Zhongcheng will suffer. If Zhang Zhongcheng is damaged, the income of his city lord will also be reduced. The chief steward reported to the city owner what forces were present in Jiangzhongqing and its vicinity, and it was just that they were on the same level as Jiangzhongqing, but some of them were huge for Jiangzhongqing and could not be touched at all. City Lord, why don't we ask Piaoxiu Immortal Palace for help right now? There is only one heavenly immortal in Zhangzhou City, and it is still in the early days of heavenly immortal. At present, it seems a little weak in this special period. Zhou Tong waved his hand weakly. Do you think I didn't tell the above? The palace lord meant that we should not interfere. If they cross the border, the palace lord will come out in person. Those monks who cross the border can't help but worry about Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. And the palace master? The big butler frowned. I'm afraid some forces are unscrupulous. Halfway through what the big butler had said, there was suddenly a terrifying shockwave outside. The big butler was stunned, wishing to slap himself and slap his previous words back. How could he become a crow's mouth? Zotong directly dodged out of the city lord's mansion and swept away somewhere in the starry sky that was waving. Guyao came out of the elixir room, handed the elixir to Bigo and Jianyang, and said, "Fortunately, I didn't lose my life." Bigo and Jianyang were overjoyed, but before they could check the status of the pills, they were also alarmed by the movement from the depths of the starry sky. Perhaps the entire Zhangzhou city could sense that in the depths of the starry sky outside the city, there was a big boss. Big fight. "What's the matter?" Bigo and Jianyang looked at each other, and then said to Guyao and the others, "We want to go over there, too." "Let's go too." Guyao looked at Qi Changjai. "Okay, let's go together." After leaving the cave, Qi Changjai released Jin Yun and asked him to bring himself and Guyao, Bigo, and Jianyang to see this mount. Middle level, Qi Changjai has all mixed into high level, people are more than people, and people are mad. The speed of the two was not slow, and they also released their mounts and flew out together. They soon entered the starry sky through the entrance and exit. When they got here, their mounts flew faster. There were many monks who had chosen the same as them, and they rushed to the place of the accident. Even Qiao Shuangfeng, who was in Donglan city, vaguely sensed it. Not long after they left the city, they encountered a Xianchuo flying in front of them, but they would catch up and throw them away soon. At this time, someone from Xianchuo looked at them, and saw Bigo and Jianyang's eyes lit up, and a voice came out, "Okay, it turned out to be Senior Brother Bai and Senior Brother Jian. I didn't expect Changkaman to send you here. If you knew you are also in Jiangzhongjinj, we went to see you early." Bigo made his mounts to catch up with Xianchuo, and Jianyang sent a voice transmission to Qi Changjai and the others. "These are the two disciples of the 7 Stars Immortal section. I expected them to send people over, but Bigo and I will send people over. It's not a high-profile act, so I haven't encountered it before." Jianyang was reminding Guyao and Qi Changjai that they knew very well that Wenfan and Genyan must have died in Qi Changjai's hands, and the other party might not be able to find out, and even if they couldn't find any evidence, Guyao and the others would be attacked. "The one who is talking to Senior Brother Bai is Sangfeng. Wenfan and Genyan have something to do with him. They both belong to a small gang in the 7 Stars Immortal sect. This guy's status is much higher than Wenfan and the others. This guy is Earth Immortal later." When they heard the 7 Stars Immortal sect, Guyao and Qi Changjai shrank their pupils. They didn't expect to meet people from the 7 Stars Immortal sect before they left this realm. No matter what their relationship was with Wenfan and Genyan, they were all worth it. Raise vigilance. Bigo has already spoken to Sangfeng over there. It turned out to be Senior Brother Sang. "I met 2 friends when I came out to Lianlian before, and this time I just got together with them. For this mission, we are just going through the motions. I can't compare to Senior Brother Sang. It seems that Senior Brother Sang has a good idea. Do you know which 2 groups of people are fighting now?" Sang Fengao glanced at the so-called friends in Bigo's mouth, but they were just 2 early Earth Immortals, and they didn't pay much attention to them, but their mounts, which made him take a closer look. In his eyes, the value of this mount was much bigger than those 2 monks. But it is not indispensable. With his strength in the late stage of Earth Immortal, and paying some price, this mount is not available. Sangfeng said with his hands behind his back, "According to the information we have obtained, it should be people from the demon world and the demon world. I didn't expect them to be interested in interfering in our human cultivation affairs, and they came so far to fight." Demon world? Guyao and Qi Changjai were slightly stunned, which reminded them of Master Su, but then they felt that what they could see might not be too big. The demon realm or the upper demon realm, although it belongs to the same space as the immortal realm, the space barriers are separated, and the scope is wide enough, not necessarily much smaller than the fairyland, so the chance that Master Su will come with this wave of demon cultivators is too small. But it's not that you can't take the opportunity to inquire about the situation in the demon realm. Bigo was also stunned. It turns out that it was these 2 parties, they would come here, it's just a matter of confusion. He and Jianyang came here with a mission. Even if they didn't fully understand what was going on inside, they knew that Jingyu had two important treasures. One was the inheritance of alchemy they knew about, and the other was not so clear. Now, but vaguely knowing that the thing involved is even bigger, so big that he and Jianyang can't know it at the moment. Let's not talk about the latter treasure. Regarding the inheritance of the pill technique, what are the magic cultivators and the demon cultivators running over to grab? Did this get over the line? Flying all the way, they got closer and closer to the center of the fight, and they knew on the way there that the center of the fight was where the ruins appeared before. When they got closer, as expected, the two groups of people fought in full swing, and the starry sky was even more fragile. Guyao and Qi Changjai didn't know that this place was wiped out by Xianjun before, and they only thought that it had become more chaotic on the basis of the original. The two groups of people in front of them showed their original bodies halfway along the way, and from time to time they roared with tigers and leopards. Some of them were in the form of beasts, and they couldn't tell which kind they belonged to. The characteristics of the demons on the modified body are also more obvious, or they are very tall, or have horns on their heads. Just from the energy coercion transmitted from the fight, you can know that this is a group of demons and demons with earth level and sky level strength fighting. Above them, there are two monks staring at each other with arms in their arms, trying to kill each other with their eyes. But no one made a move, although they couldn't feel the coercion on them, but just by ignoring the spread of the fight below, you can guess that the strength is even more, maybe it is the king level. City Lord Zhou and City Lord Qiao are here, Guyao told Qi Changjai in a low voice. The two of them seemed to have a headache. Qi Changjai looked in the direction Guyao said, and sure enough, he saw that the two of them were having a headache. Needless to say, he knew that this battle was not something they could get involved in. If they got involved, they might even lose their lives. To be searched. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 602. Just like what Guyao and the others said, Zhou Tong and Xiao Shuangfeng really had a lot of headaches, especially Zhou Tong. If he continued fighting like this, he would sooner or later spread to Zhangzhongcheng, but how could he be able to stop such a fight in the early days of Immortals? I have already sent a message to Asgard, I hope someone can come and stop it. Zhou Tong pressed his eyebrows, and the next words were changed to voice transmission. Actually, there were people who could stop the scene, but they all stayed on the side to watch the play. Zhou Tong came very early, so he sensed several breaths that made his heart palpitate. He had only felt this kind of breath around Xianjun, but he had never seen them show up until now. Don't do their business. As for the nearby star beasts, they couldn't wait to run away when the two men and horses arrived. The star beasts are not very intelligent, but they also have survival instincts. Jianyang found that several forces he could name were identified by the patterns on their clothes, which showed that this matter was indeed involved. The two people below were fighting to the death, and the two above were chatting. Luo Yang, you really don't plan to stop? What are you talking about as a devil involved in this kind of thing? Huixu, if you can come, I won't be able to come to the demon cultivator? Is there any alchemy genius in your demon cultivator recently? Husu laughed, let's grab it first, maybe we can find one or two talented people, but it really doesn't work. After we grab it, we can pass this alchemy technique to a certain alchemist, and it's good to get a favor. What? Luo Yang snorted coldly, then my purpose is even simpler, I just don't want those sane people in the immortal world to get it, so as to increase their strength, they kill Jingyu without seeing a single one. If you want to say me, Jingyu has such a temperament. You should come to our demon realm. Those guys in Immortal realm knew that they would hide behind and watch the fun without watching us fight until now, but they don't take their Immortal realm seriously. An unpleasant hum came from the void, and Luo Yang hummed back with his nose. Could he be wrong? Husu raised his eyebrows and said, I originally heard that you Luo Yang and Jing Yu had friendship, but I thought it was fake, but I didn't expect it to be true, for Jing Yu, you Luo Yang came all the way here, my feelings are my Husu. It was also used by you. Why don't you do it like this, you and I join forces to deal with those guys in the immortal realm, and we will share the benefits after we get the benefits. There was a coughing sound in the void, and the other monks who heard it were also stunned. The two of them were still fighting fiercely. The two leaders above were actually talking about cooperation. This is too arrogant. Luo Yang sneered, but did not directly answer Husu's suggestion of cooperation. Here, the people who stopped us are here. Husu suddenly looked into the distance, and sure enough, a flying palace appeared in everyone's sight after a while. Zotong heaved a sigh of relief. Okay, Asgard has finally sent someone here. Then his eyes narrowed again. Is this the palace master coming in person? Zotong and Xiao Shuangfeng glanced at each other, and hurriedly flew out of the crowd to greet Immortal Piaoxiu's arrival. Luo Yang and Husu also knew who was coming, and they were the rulers of the local realm. This face was always given, so they both waved their hands down and said very casually, I'll stop, anyway, it will be a while. If there is no result, I have to go to another day and come again, so I don't have to let Piaoxiu Xianjun smear his eyes. The starry sky battlefield, which was filled with gunpowder smoke just now, regained its calm in an instant, leaving the monks watching speechless. Is this a real fight, or did you play a game? Several monks flew out of the flying palace, headed by a woman in a light blue dress. Wherever they passed, there were bursts of ice and snow, and many monks onlookers exclaimed, it turned out to be Immortal Piaoxiu himself. Here. Xianjun gave them too much face, just send any Xianjun to get rid of them. I didn't expect to see Immortal Piaoxiu when I came to see this lively event. I'm about to faint. I'm so happy. I must practice hard and enter Piaoxiu Immortal Palace in the future. Immortal Piaoxiu is now at the peak of Immortal Monarch. I don't know when I can break through to become an Immortal Emperor. At that time, our status can also be improved. Hearing the voices of other monks admiring Immortal Lord Piaoxiu, Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at the master of Piaoxiu Immortal Palace from a distance. The cultivator she came out with has a breath above the gods, and it should also be a fairy. Such a battle, unless the emperor comes in person, can indeed shock all parties. As soon as Immortal Piaoxiu arrived, the monks who had previously hidden in the void could no longer hide. They appeared one after another. Some monks did not expect it and let out a gasp. Piaoxiu Xianjun glanced at it lightly, everyone came to my Piaoxiu world not far away, this Xianjun is slow. Where, although Husu is a man, his appearance is also quite outstanding, but compared with Piaoxiu Xianjun, he belongs to a completely different type. His eyebrows and temperament always carry the unique charm of the fox tribe. Feeling of confusion, I rarely meet this guy Luo Yang, so I just had a little discussion. I didn't expect to disturb Immortal Piaoxiu, and I hope Immortal Monarch will forgive me. Although Luo Yang is a demon cultivator who came from the demon world, his power is not necessarily weaker than Immortal Piaoxiu, but his cultivation is not as good as Immortal Piaoxiu, so he should bow his head. Luo Yang has seen Immortal Piaoxiu. This time Luo Yang is only here for personal affairs, and does not represent any power, Xianjun can rest assured. Mo Jun Luoyang is polite, the visitor is a guest. Immortal Piaoxiu glanced at Luo Yang, and did not seem to doubt his words. Haha, then Luo Yang, I would like to thank Xianjun for his generosity. Luo Yang laughed and stepped aside. Luo Yang and Husu were not only the two monarch-level masters present, but after Immortal Piaoxiu swept over them lightly, he looked towards a void where there was no one. Husu muttered in his mouth, Wo Quan, is there still someone hiding behind? The surname is Luo, have you thought of it? Luo Yang sneered, idiot, we didn't notice it, can't we guess what strength it is? At this time, there was a chain irrigation in the empty space, and then one leg stepped out first, followed by the whole person. The person who came was ordinary in appearance, but if he did nothing, it gave people an invisible pressure, making no one his presence cannot be ignored. Husu screamed again, "Damn, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng actually came over? I knew this guy was coming, how could I have a fight with Luo Yang Yu guy?" He still stayed with his fox honestly. In the nest, he didn't go anywhere, he looked around, trying to find a place where he could hide. I remember when Yu Heng was still in the same cultivation level as him, he couldn't beat this guy. This guy doesn't look very strong, but who knows that he is thicker and rougher than many demon cultivators, and he cultivates with others. Just different. Yu Heng's eyes swept over, and Husu suddenly felt his scalp tingling, so scared that he didn't dare to move. Luo Yang sneered again, but took a few steps forward. Luo Yang has seen Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. Monarch Luo Yang, don't be polite. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng bowed his hands to him. When the two met each other, the atmosphere of the onlookers immediately exploded. It was actually Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, and it was Lord Immortal Emperor. They saw the living Immortal Emperor. There are also a steady stream of cultivators from Jiangzhongqing. Even if some cultivators go out, their scope of activities is limited to the area under the jurisdiction of the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. Usually, it is very amazing to encounter a fairy. Xianjun, I also saw Xiandi. Ah, this was the voice of many monks, staring at Immortal Emperor Yu Heng with very hot eyes, but screaming in their hearts. Bigo and Jianyang also have a series of lying rights in their hearts. They feel that their mission is really here for Guyao's medicinal pills. It seems that they have attracted the Immortal Emperor. What's the use of them coming? The two suddenly turned their heads to look at Guyao and Qi Changjai. They remembered that Immortal Emperor Yu Heng and Pill Master Mei had a good relationship. In other words, Guyao, as a disciple of Pill Master Mei, could actually those who are related to the Immortal Emperor. If this layer of relationship is exposed, the two will immediately soar into the sky. Others see Immortal Emperor Yu Heng with hot eyes, but they see Guyao's hot eyes. The dream of becoming an Immortal Emperor is too far away, it is far more realistic than hugging Immortal Emperor's thigh immediately. What? Guyao is also looking at Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. Not long ago, they heard about the name of this new Immortal Emperor, but they saw him unexpectedly. He was as excited as Qi Changjai, but next to him the presence of the eyes is so strong that it cannot be ignored, so he has to turn his head and ask them with his eyes, what does this mean? Bigo whispered a voice transmission, Alchemist Gu doesn't know anything. As far as we know, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng has a good friendship with Alchemist Mei. Guyao blinked, he had never even seen his master's face, how did he know his friendship with Immortal Emperor Yu Heng? However, does this also mean that when he and Qi Changjai are in the fairy world, they actually have a backer? Guyao's eyes crooked, and his mood became good because of the news, but he didn't dare to go forward to recognize people cheekily. After all, he hasn't recognized Master yet. Qi Changjai squeezed Guyao's palm, and a smile flashed in his eyes. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng glanced here unintentionally, and clasped his fist towards Immortal Piaoxiu. Immortal Piaoxiu, Yu Heng is disturbed. Since Immortal Emperor Yu Heng appeared, Immortal Lord Piaoxiu had more turbulence in his frosty eyes. Facing this person, his mood was very complicated. The person whose cultivation base was not as good as her was now the first to become Immortal Emperor. Afterwards, she had to perform the junior salute in front of Yu Heng, where, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng is polite. It is an honor for Immortal Emperor to come to Piaoxiu. He Moshiu said, why are you here? You and I all know. But you shouldn't act recklessly. If you bump into my Yu Heng's hand, I will not be polite. Yes, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng in the face of the strong, of course everyone must be honest and obedient. The first meeting, this is the gift I gave you, and I will see you again in the future. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng threw two fairy weapons in his hand and flew towards the crowd. This sudden action shocked everyone. Immortal Emperor is right. Who said that? In the end, the ferry stopped in front of Guyao and Qi Changjai, making them the center of attention. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 603. Guyao and Qi Changjai were amazed, but when they looked up, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng disappeared into the void again. In the next instant, the eyes gathered on them all turned into envy and jealousy, and asked the Immortal Emperor to personally send the meeting gift, making it clear that he would tell everyone that these two Earth Immortals were covered by his Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. Who would dare to treat them unfavorable, just go against Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. In addition, those two immortal artifacts are also middle-grade and middle-grade immortal artifacts, so many monks who still hold low-grade immortal artifacts can't wait to grab them, but who would dare to put them into action? Waiting to be hunted down by Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. Floating in front of Guyao and Qi Changjai, one was a sharp black sword. It looked extremely simple and had no fancy features. However, no one dared to underestimate the power of a middle-grade fairy weapon, and the other was Li Yulai. The bottle, although I don't know the function of the fairy, but looking at the coveted eyes of others, I know that it will not be simple. Guyao suddenly felt a little complicated when he saw the immortal weapon. Qi Changjai stretched out his hand to grab the black sword and said to Guyao, "Put it away, the seniors are so kind, don't let them down." If it weren't for Bigo's previous remarks, Qi Changjai couldn't understand Immortal Emperor Yu Heng's sudden actions, and he didn't dare to take this fairy weapon, but seeing two fairy tools, it was more like a careful preparation for Guyao. Yes, he was just incidental. Yeah, Guyao nodded, stretched out his hand and poured a drop of blood into the immortal artifact, and then put the immortal artifact into his danchan to continue refining and warming. The two middle-grade immortal artifacts disappeared in front of the crowd, causing them to burst into disappointment. Now is the time to get to know them. The cultivator who passed by Guyao and the others before, regretted it even more. Why didn't he take the initiative to say hello? These two immortal artifacts have to be said to be very pleasant. They are too low to set off the identity of the Immortal Emperor, and the dignified Immortal Emperor can't come up with good things. It's too high, it's likely to bring disaster to Guyao and the others. You must know that the higher the level of the fairy, the more rare it is. After stealing it, you can quickly escape and hide. After hiding for hundreds of years and thousands of years, you may come out. The Immortal Emperor left this matter behind. There are desperados in the fairyland. Fellow Daoist Bai, fellow Daoist Jian, we're going back now. How about you? Qi Changjai knew that this place was not a place to stay for a long time, and said to Bigo and the two. The two of them seemed to have just woken up and hurriedly said, "The same time, of course the same time. Is it worth thinking about?" Of course, it is a step to improve the relationship with Guyao and the others. They do not have an immortal emperor in Chanqi Xianmen. Do you really think that immortal emperors are Chinese cabbage in the immortal world? If you can't hold the immortal emperor's thigh, it is also good to hold a thigh with the immortal emperor's backstage. So the four of them jumped on their mounts and left in front of everyone. Originally, where the two little earth immortals deserved the attention of Piaoxiu Xianjun, but now it is different. She can't figure out why Yu Heng came here. Relics from? She looked at Zhou Tong and Xiao Shuangfeng and asked, "Who are they?" Zhou Tong and Xiao Shuangfeng couldn't answer all of a sudden, but there were three families of Fang Lin and Mo in the group of monks watching, and Fang Kaiubai, Lin Feng, and Mo Yanjiao also came to watch the lively crowd. At that moment, the three of them all covered together mouth, for fear of screaming. Who would have thought that a friend who had not known each other for a long time would have such a great background? With the support of the Immortal Emperor, they can walk sideways not only in Zhangzhou City, but also in the entire boundary of Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. Because of the relationship of these three people, the elders of the three families naturally recognized them, so they sent a voice transmission to Zotong to explain the identities of these two people. Zotong was stunned for a while, and hurriedly told the answer to Immortal Piaoxiu. Yes, is it two loose cultivators, or ascension cultivators who have ascended from the lower realm for less than 100 years? Zotong himself thinks this answer is inconceivable. It is too simple. How does Immortal Emperor Yu Heng know about them and show concern for them? The appearance of the descendants. Immortal Piaoxiu frowned slightly. He didn't expect it to be an ascending cultivator. Could it be Yu Heng's junior in the lower realm? Otherwise, why pay special attention? However, she has such two talented ascension cultivators under her command, but no one reported it. It seems that some people are too slack. Now, because of Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, it is not easy to absorb these two people into Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, but Piaoxiu Immortal Palace is also not lacking in talented monks. Immortal Piaoxiu put down quickly, and then asked several. One of the immortal monarchs glanced at it, then turned around and flew to his flying palace, leaving a message: Piaoxiu Immortal Palace welcomes you at any time, and Piaoxiu bids farewell. The last person she looked at was Xianjun Liuyun. A monk disappeared from the Zuotong land without knowing why. Why? It's not just that they want to find out what happened when the ruins finally collapsed. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng's sudden move may not only take care of the younger generation, but also warn someone or some people. Although some monks have low cultivation bases, but also immobile. Immortal Lu Yun was not in a good mood at the moment, because he had already found out that these two monks also came out of the ruins, but they were inserted by Immortal Emperor Yu Heng before they started. What did he want to do? Although he was upset, Immortal Lu Yun also knew that the two could not move. Luo Yang and Hu Su glanced at each other. They were also very curious about the two juniors that Yu Heng took care of, but it was still a long time ago. Everyone, farewell. The monks gathered in the starry sky quickly dispersed. Needless to say, their return will add a lot of topics to the monks in Jiangzhongqing. Maybe they can't finish talking for 10 days and 10 nights, no matter which one is very exciting. Not to mention them, even Guyao and Qi Changjai were digesting this fact on the way back. No matter how they looked at it, they all felt that the matter was related to Guyao's master, and Qi Changjai asked Bigo and the others, Master Meidan and Immortal Emperor Yu Heng are not just related to friendship. Bigo and Jianyang glanced at each other. In fact, this is what they want to know. Others have doubts, but they know the details of Guyao and Qi Changjai. They can only guess. Maybe, junior brother Jian and I are no match for Earth Immortals in the door, and the news that we can know is often heard by hearsay. We were also taken aback by the scene just now. Bigo thought for a while and then said, you don't know, just when we went to the lower realm, the situation of Mei Danqi was a little bad. Mei Danqi's alchemy skills are very good, but because of the relationship between the Ascension cultivator, he didn't join any sect, so the foundation in the fairyland is not deep, so there are some monks and forces in the fairyland who don't like Mei Danqi. During that time, we also heard that Alchemist Mei had a grudge against one of the forces for unknown reasons and was blocked by the other party. Although Alchemist Mei also made a lot of connections because of his identity as an alchemist, the power of that force was not weak. So those people probably don't want to offend them for Master Meidan. You can guess what happened later. Yu Heng broke through from Immortal Monarch to Immortal Emperor, and he is very good at fighting. General forces are reluctant to fight against such Immortal Emperor. At first we thought it was Immortal Emperor Yu Heng and Mei Danqi. There is friendship, so come out and make peace. It seems more than that simple now. Guyao said, thank you very much. If you don't say it, we will never know. In this way, although I haven't met, the master already knows his existence and also knows that he has come to the fairyland. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng took action to maintain it, but it was not because of the master, so although he had not met the master yet, Guyao had a little more affection for the master in his heart. Somewhere in the void, Yu Heng and Mei Sun sat face to face. Yu Heng smiled and said, "I didn't expect to be discovered by Immortal Biaoxiu, but you really don't want to see him? I think your disciple must know me. It's because of you that you sent the fairy artifact." Mei Sun smiled and said, "It means that I have implicated you, otherwise it would not have been so easy for Immortal Biaoxiu to find out. I showed up and recognized my disciple, which was beneficial and disadvantageous to him. I have offended many forces over the years because of you and the others. I only stopped temporarily, but my disciple is still low in cultivation, and it is too easy for him to do something." Yu Heng laughed, "I have a lot of enemies." Mei Sun said, "But now that you are promoted to Immortal Emperor, your deterrent power is not the same as before." Would. Zhou Tong reminded Qiao Shuangfeng on the way back, because Qiao Shuangfeng didn't know about the sound transmission when the Fang family and the others were transmitting, and he also transmitted the sound to Immortal Biaoxiu. Ascending cultivator, he naturally came out of Donglan City, and he has also heard about the dirty things of those aristocratic families in Donglan City. But he turned his head to see Qiao Shuangfeng's gloomy face and said, "Could it be that fellow Daoist Qiao knows their identities?" Qiao Shuangfeng nodded, "I didn't know it at first, but then I remembered that one of them was Lei Jiangziu. I asked my men to check, but they left Donglan City because they were wanted by those families. There are various signs that, the destruction of the arena and the death of the Zhang family's child may have something to do with them." Zhou Tong shook his head and said, "This time is different from the past. In the early days, the angels like us were the strongest on this side. The combination of those families is indeed a strong force, but now all the bulls, ghosts, snakes, and gods are running over. Then if a few families are not good, they will offend those who cannot be offended. No, they have already offended them now." Qiao Shuangfeng frowned and said, "Thank you, fellow Daoist Zhou, for reminding me. If he can get rid of those families because of this, of course he agrees with both hands. Even if he leaves Donglan City in the future, he can arrange his henchmen to manage Donglan City and make Donglan City completely his sphere of influence." With such a big commotion, both Immortal Monarch and Immortal Emperor appeared, not to mention Immortal Monarch Biaoxiu himself showed up, so not only did Zhang Zhongcheng make a sensation, but also all kinds of news were flying around in Donglan City. Gathered again. Patriarch Zhang's face was the most gloomy. "What should I do now?" "You'd better make a statement. We must know that our four families have one interest. If the Zhang family is in trouble, no one can escape." "Patriarch Zhang, are you threatening us?" The other three were unhappy. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 604. Yes, it was your Zhang family who died in their hands at the beginning, and that's why the whole city wanted to arrest someone. Although our four families have one interest, if something really happened, your Zhang family was the first to be interrogated. Patriarch Zhang was very angry. "Our Zhang family can't escape, can the three of you escape? Don't forget where the root of this matter came from. The other three are gone. How could they not know where the root is? The first thing that happened was the arena. What was there in the arena? All four of them were involved. One pass. At the beginning, they regretted that when the ruins were opened, they couldn't get there in time. Now they wish that the ruins never appeared. Why did the god-killing Jingyu put the ruins on their realm and recruited all the bigwigs of the fairy world? Otherwise, in a place like them, they would have come to the peak power of the early days of Tianxian. Ginger fruit. How many years have their respective families continued in Donglan City, and they have always been free to deal with those ascension cultivators? Could it be because of Jingyu's relics this time? What's the best way for the Patriarch Zhang to provoke an immortal emperor for nothing, and no one wants to face it? If the immortal emperor takes action, the entire Donglan city can be destroyed in an instant. Patriarch Zhang said viciously, What we did violated the taboo of their ascension monks, we can't escape anyway, it would be better if the fish died and the net was broken. I don't believe that none of these immortal emperors dared to go against the Yuheng immortal emperor. According to me, it is known that immortal emperor Yuheng has many enemies outside. Compared with other immortal emperors, Yuheng is just a new immortal emperor. The others were stunned. Could it be that Patriarch Zhang has a way to catch up with them? If you look carefully, you will find what you can find. This matter requires our concerted efforts. Patriarch Zhang stared at the expressions of the other three patriarchs. Okay, just as Clan Chief Zhang said. The four families knew, Lengsu and Xiakunren naturally knew it, and they were pleasantly surprised, especially since Immortal Emperor Yuheng was in the star field, which made them even more encouraged. From their point of view, after years of darkness, the dawn is finally coming, and if they don't take advantage of this time to bring this matter to the surface and completely get rid of the predicament of the ascended cultivator, how long will it be? Captain Leng, someone is looking for it outside, and the goods are consigned by Fenjiun firm. Leng Su hurriedly came out from the inside. I don't know who asked Fenjiun firm to consign the goods, but Fenjiun firm's reputation was still trustworthy, and even the four local families and the city lord's mansion did not dare to interfere in the firm's affairs. When Leng Su came out, he saw a cultivator at the peak of Earth Immortal, who was the leader of the consignment of Fenjiun Commercial Bank. He looked at Leng Su and asked, "Your Excellency is Captain Leng Su Leng?" "It's right here." Leng Su didn't know this cultivator. Obviously, he didn't come from Donglan City. Could it be from Zhangzhou City? Leng Su thought of Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, who were in Zhangzhou City now. The visitor nodded and said, "That's good, please sign for this thing, and we can go back to Jiangzhongqing to explain to the owner of the consignment." Leng Su saw a box. He took out. There was a seal on the box, and he didn't know what was inside. "Can you tell me, which Taoist friend entrusted the company to deliver the goods?" The visitor smiled and said, "Don't worry, Captain Leng, the other party said that after opening the box and looking at the contents, you can know their identities. We have other goods to deliver, so we won't bother Captain Leng too much." Leng Su completed the formalities and sent the group of people from the business away. Looking back at the box, all kinds of guesses appeared in his heart. As for the cultivator who came to the peak of the Earth Immortal, he was also very curious about who actually worked for their chief steward to run this trip in person. Heavenly Immortal will also come to run this trip in person. As for the person who asked them to deliver the goods, that was backed by the Immortal Emperor. To be honest, when they received the two cultivators, they were also taken aback. After all, those two are now in the entire Zhangzhou city and beyond. Influential figures. Now I don't know how many monks and forces want to have a relationship with them, and they must ensure the smooth delivery of the goods to the Immortal Emperor Yuheng behind them. If you want to say what happened in Donglan City, their Fenjiun firm is actually very clear, but the rules of their firm are not to intervene in local affairs, just to do business. Of course, they will not reach out for some business, such as that business slave. This is a taboo for many monks. What is the difference between those devils in the devil world? Leng Su took the box back to the inner room. Xiakunren was a little worried when he saw the box. Is there any fraud? Leng Su shook his head. I suspect that it was sent by alchemist Gu and the others. Now that Immortal Emperor Yuheng is standing on top of them, it's worth a trip to a Fenjiun firm in person. As Leng Su spoke, he played the immortal formula to lift the seal. Xiakunren was vigilant. As soon as the seal was broken, the box was opened and there was a piece of jade slip inside. Leng Su took the jade slip and checked it. After reading the contents, he laughed coldly. As expected, it was not wrong. It was sent by them, Gu Alchemist and fellow Daoist Qi. The people of those families probably didn't expect Gu Alchemist and the others to do such a thing. Yes. Now, fellow Daoists, what Gu Alchemist and the others have sent is the method for breaking the slave mark. Really, Xiaokunren learned that it was sent by Guyao and the others, so he let go of his guard. When he heard that it was about slave marks, he became excited. Leng Su's eyes were sharp. Yes, Alchemist Gu is really good, he can solve our problems so quickly. Bai Hen has a good vision at the beginning. This candidate was recommended by Bai Hen, and it was not wrong. Great. We should plan well next. Jiang Zhongchenj. Before the delivery team of Fenjian firm came back, the news came back first, and the goods had been delivered to Leng Su. Guyao, who received the news, was relieved. Now he and Qi Changjai are no different than when they first came, and they won't attract attention if they disappear. I don't know how many monks are staring at them outside, so it's really inconvenient to go to Donglan City in person. But they also know that if they want to completely remove the cancers in Donglan City, the time is right now, so the way to get rid of the slave seal should be delivered to Leng Su as soon as possible. How to send it? They also consulted Fang Kaiubai and the others, and learned that Fenjian Trading Company has this business, and the reputation of Fenjian Trading Company was popularized, so the two went to Fenjian Trading Company specially. Now they are indeed celebrities. As soon as they show their true faces, the chief steward of the firm will personally receive them. I have to say that it is good to have a backer. But there is also something that bothers people, that is, people pay attention wherever they go, and they can't move freely. It's the place they rented. The nearby temporary caves were all rented out in a short period of time. When Fang Kaiubai and the others came over, were stared at by those monks, almost startled. Before, there were some monks who stared at Guyao and the others, but now they are all blatantly watching the movement in their cave, and celebrities are not easy to be. In addition, there are also large and small forces in Jiangzhongqing who sent posts, but because Guyao and the others have opened the formation mode without interruption, these posts were sent to the steward who manages these temporary caves. Fang Kaiubai and the others came over. Should be in charge of things, bring a thick stack of posts. Guyao and Qi Changjai didn't know that the cave on their left was rented by Husu, and then Luo Yang rented the cave on the right. In fact, there were people in the caves on both sides, but when the two people came to the door, the original residents didn't dare to make a sound, so they honestly moved out and gave up the caves. Darling, can the little earth immortal stand against Xianjun? Little life is gone. Luo Yang and Husu fought in the air. Husu, you follower, don't tell me that you are attracted to Lao Tzu's beauty and are chasing after him. Luo Yang, I have never seen such a shameless vixen like you. If you want to make a fuss and send it elsewhere, I will not accompany you. I respect Immortal Emperor Yuheng, so I have to look at you. Don't think I don't know you are beating them both. Idea. Husu scolded, bah. Your whole family is arguing. No, just a guy like you who doesn't know how to taste. I won't look at you more if I'm blind. To tell you the truth, I'm looking at you Hung. Guys, that's the Immortal Emperor, so what are you? That's why I came over to have a good relationship with the two little guys and let Yu Hang see the sincerity of Lao Tzu. Luo Yang sprayed. Where did he not know that this male fox was full of nonsense? He had a kind of saying this in front of Immortal Emperor Yu Hang. Don't think he didn't know. As soon as he saw Immortal Emperor Yu Hang, the male fox couldn't wait to hide so that Immortal Emperor Yu Hang couldn't see him. Luo Yang, okay, I will pass your words to Immortal Emperor Yu Hang. When Immortal Emperor Yu Hang arrives, don't run if you have the ability. Husu suddenly looked around with a guilty conscience, told himself that Luo Yang was fooling himself, and then continued to scold him in the air. After scolding for several days, there was no movement in Guyao and their cave, and Husu became curious, what are those two little guys doing in there? It won't be a double cultivation all day, right? Would you like to sneak in and have a look? Luo Yang felt that this male fox was purely for scolding, and he actually wanted to peek at other people's double cultivation. Do you have integrity? No, this guy has long since lost his integrity. If you have the ability, you can go in and have a look. I have stripped you of all the fox skins. The two men's subordinates listened to the two people's scolding battle every day, and they were eager to join the ranks of the scolding battle. Guyao and Qi Changjai didn't know that there was not only a scolding war outside, but also that the scolding war had developed to the extent that they would be watching their double cultivation. If they knew it, whether they could fight or not, they would blow their dongfu first. Guyao has been sacrificing and refining the newly acquired middle-grade fairy weapon. When he confessed to the master on the same day, he knew about this Ryu. The general situation of the glass bottle, but how to use it will be further explored in the future refining. The glass bottle body is made of a special kind of fairy wood. This kind of fairy wood is born from the fire, and the refined fairy utensils are used to store various kinds of fire. The bottle can contain strong fire, some kind of fire. To a certain extent, this glass bottle has the same effect as the Wanya pot in Tian Firong's hands. Right now, a kind of fire is stored in the 10 separated spaces inside, so it looks like a middle-grade and middle-level fairy artifact on the outside, but in fact its value far exceeds the fairy artifact itself, because outsiders can't see the inside. Stored tinder. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 605. When he was in the spirit world, Guyao had a lot of experience in using the yin-yang mirror. After he came to the immortal world, the fairy tools he used were not very good. Now this glass bottle makes him extremely happy. He feels that he can use the 10 kinds of fire in it. Come up with many tricks. But Qi Changjai's immortal sword is quite common among middle-grade immortals, plus he has his own life sword. This immortal sword, Qi Changjai took a few sword flowers and said, "It's a middle-grade immortal after all. The power is extraordinary, and you can use it." Although the sword of life is more commanding to use, once it collapses, not only will it be backlashed, but it will also take a lot of effort and financial resources to restore it to the current level. A message came in. Guyao took it out and saw that it was the person who delivered the goods from Fenjiun Trading Company. Despite being mentally prepared, as soon as the door of the cave was opened, the two noticed dozens of spiritual senses swept over together, and they couldn't help but feel a black line. Qi Changjai took Guyao and wrapped his sword energy and fled away, but when he was leaving, he found that the owners of the two cave houses had changed. When they saw the monks coming out of the cave mansion, the two became even darker. After all, they also witnessed that chaotic battle that I don't know how to describe, and saw the leaders of both sides. Now these two people have come over and become their neighbors. What should I call them? It was obvious that it was for them. If it was in the past, facing these immortal level bosses, Guyao and Qi Changjai could be as far away from them as possible, but now, Guyao thought about it and said, "Can we ask Luoyang Demon Lord, is there any news from the master?" Qi Changjai nodded, "All right, the left and right can't escape, just to see what their purpose is." When the two came to the street where Fenjiun Commercial Bank was located, they used a blindfold. They went straight to Fenjiun Commercial Bank. They saw the big manager who had just returned from Donglan City. It didn't have much effect. He already knew that the temporary cave house that the two rented was surrounded by other monks. "Captain Leng asked me to give this box to you. Do you two want to check it on the spot?" "Okay, thank you, Chief Steward. How is the situation in Donglan City?" Guyao asked casually as he took the box. The Chief Steward thought for a moment and said, "Donglan City is no better than Zhangzhou City. There have been a lot of foreign cultivators recently, so it seems to be very calm as usual. However, our firm can send a message to two Taoist friends. The Zhang family in Donglan City. It seems that we are in contact with a strange monk. As for the identity of the other party, we cannot get too close to avoid being noticed by the other party." Qi Changjai's eyes sank slightly, and he cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, Chief Steward, for telling me. Haha, if the two fellow Daoists need anything in the future, just come to our Fenjiun firm. The chief steward took the opportunity to win over him. Gu Yao smiled, okay, farewell. The chief steward watched Gu Yao and Qi Changjai leave, and his subordinates couldn't help asking, the chief steward was too polite to them, can they win over Immortal Emperor Yu Heng? The chief steward smiled and shook his head, I am not only for Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, but also for their future development and value. You will know some things when you get to my position. The high-level information of Fenjiun Commercial Bank is naturally much better informed. As the chief steward of this place, he can also get in touch with some parts, so when Immortal Emperor Yu Heng came forward, he was secretly investigating, what kind of relationship did these two have with Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. After investigation, he found a key person, that is alchemist Mei Sun. No one expected that alchemist Mei Sun had ascended from the same lower realm as Gu Yao and the others. After a lapse of tens of thousands of years, who else would care about where the alchemist Mei Sun came from, but the various documents of Fenjiun Trading Company are recorded in detail, and the relevant information can be seen by retrieving Mei Sun's information, plus Gu Yao's. He is also an alchemist, and this relationship is about to come out. In this way, compared to the rotten families in Donglan City, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai are much more valuable, and the chief steward is happy to remind them. On the way back, Gu Yao said, the strange monks mentioned by the chief steward are those monks who came from outside this time? What do they want to do? Can't they find a skin with a tiger? This time, no matter which force comes from outside, it has the ability to easily overthrow the entire Donglan city. Do those families take themselves too seriously? Qi Changjai said, they are probably still thinking about using the power from the outside to deal with the ascension cultivators, including us. It is estimated that they want to suppress this arrogance. Gu Yao frowned and said, how much leverage can they have to persuade each other? Qi Changjai moved in his heart and said, it seems that we are going to ask Demon Lord Luoyang, maybe their bargaining chip is you and me. The two speeded up and flew back and landed from the air. When they saw the situation outside their cave, the two couldn't help laughing. Right, whoever sees it must have a soft leg. My lord, they are back. Senior, they are back. When their subordinates saw the two who came back, they quickly reported. Hu Su and Luo Yang, who had just faced each other in tit for tat, turned their heads in unison. One was smiling and bewitching all beings, and the other was hardy with a hint of evil spirit. Both of them belonged to the type full of charm. It's a coincidence that we just moved in and we're just about to visit the neighbors. Why don't you invite us in for a sit? Hu Su smiled. I also have this intention. Luo Yang followed closely. What does it mean to lie with your eyes open? There is a vivid picture in front of you. Gu Yao doesn't know if he should look flattered or not, but Qi Changjai gave the two people a cold look, and opened the door of the cave with a magic trick, pulling Gu Yao and walking away. Enter. So the two people in the back came in uninvited, swaggeringly followed, and waved to the back, telling their subordinates to go back, no need to follow. The cave formation was activated again, and all kinds of news began to fly outside, so soon everything that should have been known would be known. Hu Su and Luo Yang, the two monarch-level bigwigs, entered the room. Oh no, entered Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. The monk's cave. Gu Yao invited them to sit up and served the best immortal tea and immortal fruit. Of course, it would definitely not be in the eyes of the other party, but who asked them to come in, they could only wait. Hu Su didn't mind at all, grabbed a fairy fruit and nibbled it, as if he was staying in his own cave. Just two fox eyes swept Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. Luo Yang glared at him. It's been several times, and I don't know how to converge. Qi Changjai figured out that even if the two were not friends, they were definitely not in a hostile relationship. As for why there was such a big movement in the starry sky before, it was likely that they were deliberately making trouble for all the characters. Originally, everyone was hidden in this area, but now, everything has changed from darkness to light. Hu Su asked curiously, are you really the junior of that guy Yu Heng? Guyao was stunned for a moment and replied, actually, this is the first time we have seen Immortal Emperor Yuheng. The fox's eyes flickered, as if he didn't quite believe what Guyao said, or thought that he didn't tell the truth. Although it was the first time we met, he should know the relationship between them. Haha, then you are so lucky. You have to know that when you first came to the immortal realm, there is a big difference between whether you have a backer or not. You all took the path of the immortal emperor all at once. I don't know how many monks in this immortal realm are envious and jealous of you, Qi Changjai said in a deep voice. It is indeed the luck of the younger generation. Luo Yang glared at Hu Su. Why did he say such nonsense? He was much more refreshed, and said, you are thinking that so many people are staring at you, not all of them are coming for immortal emperor Yuhang. Qi Changjai respectfully said, exactly, senior, please enlighten me. Hu Su bared his teeth towards Luo Yang. What kind of senior is this bastard, who doesn't know? Luo Yang said sternly, you may not know that in that starry sky, people have used the retracing immortal art for a long time. Although it was disturbed, but I think I have seen a lot of things. Do you know the retracing immortal art? Looking at the expressions of the two, Luo Yang may have come into contact with this thing for the first time, and it has not been long since he ascended from the lower realm, less than 100 years. For a cultivator of their level, it is really a blink of an eye, so yes, some methods are understandable and understandable. Qi Changjai and Guyao looked at each other, so it was too early for them to be relieved. Looking back at the immortal formula, listening to the name, is it reproducing the real scene from the past? Guyao couldn't help asking. Smart, that's what it means, Hu Su snapped, so, the two of you should be the last to come out. If Immortal Emperor Yuheng didn't point out your identities, you wouldn't know what happened at this moment. Luo Yang went on to say, the situation in the ruins has been spread among us long ago, and the foreign monks who stay here are all directed at the treasures exposed in the ruins. At that time, the treasures flew out of them by themselves. But after searching the starry sky, there was no trace, so they suspected that it fell on a monk who was in the ruins at that time. This is frank enough, but Guyao and Qi Changjai flashed surprises on their faces. Jingyu is nothing but an immortal, and the treasures he left are so attractive to the two seniors. Hu Su sneered. Luo Yang glared at him angrily. In fact, these days, those cultivators should not be able to find almost anything, and there are more and more people who suspect Guyao and Qi Changjai. If not for Immortal Emperor Yuheng come then first hand, maybe their cave mansion has been forcibly broken into. Luo Yang said, in the beginning, Jingyu was too weak to keep that thing, which led to his death. The inheritance of the alchemy technique is still nothing, but another thing will make the Immortal Emperor, Demon Emperor and Demon Emperor get involved, so that thing is no trivial matter. If it disappears completely, it will be a good thing that no one can find it. Guyao and Qi Changjai's eyelids jumped, but their faces were full of surprise. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 606. After leaving Guyao and their cave, Hu Su not only did not return to his residence, but went to his side after Luo Yang. Luo Yang glared at him, but Hu Su said, are you sure you want me to speak outside? Luo Yang continued to stare, but no longer stopped him from entering. After entering, the formation of the cave was activated, and Luo Yang casually placed the lower level restrictions, saying, speak, what do you want to say? Hu Su said, I thought you knew what I wanted to say. Those two things should be on the two little guys. Luo Yang turned his head abruptly. This time he stopped staring, his eyes were very calm, but there was murder brewing underneath. Hu Su didn't care, he sat down and said, it seems that you really respect Yuheng Immortal Emperor, and you have taken care of the two little guys that Yuheng is protecting. But don't worry, I also treat them. No malice, just know where that thing goes, I won't shoot it. Luo Yang didn't believe him, and still looked at him like this. Hu Su had to swear. Luo Yang smiled. This time it was Hu Su's turn to scold people. This did it on purpose looks like. But then Luo Yang also made a demon oath. Hu Su's eyes widened. Is this guy still a demon cultivator? To be loyal to that guy Yu Heng, and maintain it to such an extent? Gu Yao and Qi Changjai didn't know the conversation between Luo Yang and Hu Su. They were still immersed in what Luo Yang said about the master. This time, they really asked the right person. Luo Yang had really heard of such a person. It should be said that a monk like Master Su cannot be silent for too long no matter where he goes. If you change to an ordinary monk, you may find a place to practice for many years, improve your cultivation and then go out to walk, but Master Su has not been in seclusion for that long. Come out to meet Su Chen. This kind of reason is doomed that the figure of Master Su will be more active, and it is impossible for him to go unnoticed. Master Su has risen so long before them, and the current strength, in the eyes of Gu Yao and the others, is at least at the level of immortals. Now, in terms of talent, he is not inferior to Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. It was also a coincidence that Luo Yang happened to pass through the chaotic demon realm of the demon realm for a while, where fish and dragons were mixed, and it was relatively close to the border of the three realms. He had heard of a demon monk who was very powerful. The reason for the fame of this demon monk is that a female devil took a fancy to the monk's beauty and wanted to rob him and put him in his harem, but was fiercely resisted by the monk. I chatted about interesting things, and had the idea of going to see the monk, wanting to know how beautiful he was, so that the devil had to hold on to it. What should I do now? Do you want to tell the seniors? After the seniors find out, they won't impulsively want to go to the demon world, right? Gu Yao said worriedly. Qi Changjai said, maybe he has also inquired about it. Listening to the meaning of Luo Yang demon lord, that female demon cultivator is not an unknown person. If there is such a big movement, maybe it will spread to the demon world long ago. How about that? Gu Yao patted his face. Maybe Qi Changjai would really say, why don't we hurry up and meet with the senior? The three of them act together more than the senior hopes alone. Qi Changjai said, you have to think about the matter in front of you first and solve it, but you can contact that guy first. Others really ran away, and they would be in trouble when they couldn't find it. Although Qi Changjai didn't want anyone to disturb his and Gu Yao's two-person world, he had to admit that when they were in the spiritual world, he and Gu Yao had inherited a lot of favors from Su Chen and Master Su, and it was impossible to sit back and ignore them at this time. As for the other thing that Luo Yang reminded, their only plan is to bite to death and not admit it. Once it is leaked, even if there is a backstage like Yu Heng Immortal Emperor, they are afraid that they will not be able to get rid of the endless trouble. As for whether Luo Yang guessed that the thing was on them, he would have such a suggestion. They refuse to admit it. At present, Luo Yang's position is to raise more points than to test. The two asked Fang Kaiubai and they sent a message to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, telling Su Chen that they would go there to meet him in a while and let him wait there. Master's situation, we will talk about it after we meet. Not too late. The two carefully looked at the jade slip that Leng Su replied to them. The jade slip explained their plan to prepare for the action this time. Although over the years, the Ascension cultivator has arranged a lot of nails in the four major families, and if they cooperate inside and out it will achieve certain results, but the two of them looked at it and felt that this plan was still too risky, especially after being reminded by the head of Fenjiun Commercial Bank, with Leng Su and Xia Kunren alone, the possibility of this action succeeding was even smaller. Leng Su means that after the privately imprisoning monks as slaves is exposed, it will definitely attract the attention of all parties who come here, but that is to be exposed. If it is not exposed, it will be directly suppressed by the other party. Woolen cloth? And in the process of exposure, how much sacrifice does it take to achieve it? They also thought about how to take advantage of the current situation, But now they don't need to do much, the cultivators outside are all focused on them. Gu Yao said, if we go to Donglan City now, how many cultivators will follow? Chi Changjai also has this intention, how can you know if you don't try? Okay, then give it a try. Gu Yao immediately packed his bags and prepared to leave, because it was very close to the time when Leng Su and the others would act. If they didn't hurry over, they might miss it. Before leaving, Gu Yao told Fang Kaiubai and the others, and did not hide the purpose of the trip. As a result, as soon as he opened the door of the cave, he saw a group of cultivators flying in the air, led by Fang, Lin, and Mo3 people. Seeing Gu Yao and Chi Changjai coming out, Fang Kaiubai immediately waved his hand to greet them, landed down, waved his hand backward, pointed at the monks they brought, and said, see if we are funny enough, we want to go to the east with you. Lin Cheng turns around, the losses he suffered there in the past will have to be recovered this time. Lin Feng smiled, Brother Gu and Brother Chi will not welcome us. Mo Yanjao said, we are not welcome, we will just follow behind. Gu Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and a smile flashed in Chi Changjai's eyes. Maybe there was a meaning behind it from their family, but it was extremely beneficial to their actions. Since that's all said, what are you waiting for, let's go together. Okay. A large group of people was about to fly away when a voice came from behind, wait for us. Fang Kaiubai and the others looked back and were startled. The people who stopped them from behind were the two bosses, Hu Su and Luo Yang, who came out of the cave. The two bosses became Gu Yao's neighbors. It's no longer a secret in front of their families. The three of them don't know how high the sky is, but facing such a big boss, it is also very stressful. Chi Changjai turned around and asked, what's the matter with the two seniors stopping us? Hu Su squinted his fox eyes and said, we are not familiar with this place, so of course we will join in the fun when you travel. Luo Yang, don't you think? Continue to use the ability to open your eyes and talk nonsense. Luo Yang nodded cooperatively, that's right, don't call me senior, just call me big brother Luo Yang. Fang Kaiubai, Lin Feng, and Mo Yanjao almost sprayed, brother Luo Yang? They almost don't know each other in this world, and the big boss of the Demon King took the initiative to send them to the door and let them call him big brother. Did they miss something? In fact, the real bosses are their friends Gu Yao and Chi Changjai. They must be the reincarnations of the bosses, so when they return to the fairyland, they are all sent over automatically. If it wasn't for the bosses here, the three decided to ask Gu Yao and the others whether their guesses were correct, and which bosses they were in the immortal world before they were reincarnated. Chi Changjai looked at Luo Yang speechlessly, the latter smiled and looked at them very gently and tolerantly, waiting for them to call big brother. Gu Yao had to bite the bullet and call, Luo, cough, big brother Luo Yang, we are going to the east. Lin Chen, big brother Luo Yang and senior who really want to go together. Haha, it's a matter of course we'll be together. We've never been to Donglan City. Yes, the Lord is right, Luo Yang's subordinates responded one after another, although they couldn't figure it out, when did Lord Luo Yang recognize a younger brother? This time, hundreds of people flew out of the city together. There were a lot of forces that were concerned about Gu Yao and Chi Changjai, but they were all shocked by such a big battle. What are they going to do? Therefore, another batch was added later. As for those who did not show their stature, they were no longer within the statistical scope of Gu Yao and Chi Changjai. With these big bosses following, Fang Kaiubai and the three seemed to be very restrained. Not to mention big bosses, even the subordinates brought out by the bosses are better than them, so they are usually majestic in Zhangzhou City. They and the guards that followed were as honest as quails. After leaving, Gu Yao and Chi Changjai found Luo Yang and Hu Su, and did not hide their purpose and intentions of this trip, not only to deal with the four families in Donglan City, but also to attract the attention of Luo Yang and the other foreign cultivators. In fact, they don't think their intentions can keep other people hidden all the time, so they should call Luo Yang big brother, and they should be more honest. If Luo Yang and the others don't want to interfere, Gu Yao and the others don't mind. Hu Su touched his chin, tisk tisk, I didn't expect the immortal world to have these slave marks. It's a blessing that they made it. But this behavior is very similar to Luo Yang and your demon world. Don't you plan to develop them into the demon world? Luo Yang hummed angrily, I'll be the first to stamp them with the slave mark, so that they can taste it for themselves. Although there are various ways of restraining their subordinates in the devil world, some of them are extreme, but who else is there? Innate willingness to be controlled by others. But then Luo Yang laughed and said to Gu Yao and the others, don't worry, some guys are following, we are not from the immortal realm, we may not be able to intervene in such matters, but they are from the immortal realm, since they came let's see what they will say then, you can just let go and do it, I'll watch for you with this vixen. Their purpose is to come here to make trouble, which is absolutely the same as Gu Yao's purpose, so they must support it. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 607. Donglan City. Patriarch Zhang and Patriarch Shi respectfully stood in front of a cultivator and said, Senior, please rest assured, we will do our best to help Kixing Xianzong catch the murderer. The person in the seat held up the teacup and said, okay, I will see the results of your actions this time, but don't let me down, or the elders of the division who will come back next will not allow you to make a difference, and they will be directly destroyed. You Donglan City. Yes, yes, I will not disappoint the 7-star immortal sect. Patriarch Zhang and Patriarch Shi retreated in shock. Tianxian's aura was really impressive, the pressure just released, their back vests were all wet, and their legs almost bent. The two looked at each other with lingering fears, then laughed again, and after walking a distance, Patriarch Shi bowed to Patriarch Zhang, this time, I would like to thank Patriarch Zhang for giving me the opportunity to the Shi family. The real murderer of the high disciple of the 7-star immortal sect, otherwise there would be no place for us in this Donglan city. Patriarch Zhang smiled smugly, don't say they are the real murderers, even if they didn't do it, the Patriarch will have to confirm their crimes. If the 7-star immortal sect's masters take action, we can take the opportunity to kill those scoundrels with rebellious bones. Everything is packed. Patriarch Zhang is wise, and from now on, my Shi family is the only one who will follow the lead of the Zhang family, Shi Patriarch promised. After they left, a person walked out from behind the seated person. If Bigo and Jianyang were here, they would recognize it as Sangfeng who met in the starry sky that day, but he was not the only one sent by the 7 stars immortal sect. And another heavenly immortal disciple was hidden behind him. Sangfeng said, I didn't expect these two idiots Wenfan and Genyan to be killed by two cultivators who had not soared for a long time. If it wasn't for the evidence given by the two old guys, I would not dare to do so anyway. I believe. Uncle, it seems that these two people were known to Wenfan and the others when they went to the lower realm, so they don't know what they have, it's worth Wenfan and Genyan spending a lot of time trying to figure it out. In fact, whether Wenfan and Genyan are dead or alive, they don't care at all, and they don't want to avenge them, but now, the death of the two has become their best excuse. Still have great value. Sangfeng added, now the two Earth Immortals are being watched by many forces, and there are several Immortals intervening in them. I am afraid that it will not be possible with only these few families. Even if they have an upright excuse, they can. Who cares about such trivial matters when interests are at the forefront? Uncle, what should we do next? Huo Guangyuan narrowed his eyes and said, don't worry, I have already informed the sect that there will be help sent. We just need to keep an eye on these families and let them do our work for us. Sangfeng immediately smiled, it's still my uncle who has a vision. On the other side, Patriarch Shi, who had not left the Zhang family, suddenly saw people from the Shi family running over, and at the same time, Someone from the Zhang family ran in to report. Patriarch, it's not good, someone attacked our clan. Patriarch, our Zhang family has also been attacked, especially the place where slaves are held. The Li family and the Zheng family are in similar situation. What? Those ascension cultivators? How dare you? Send someone to the Patriarch to suppress it immediately, and stamp all the caught with the Patriarch, don't let anyone go. Patriarch Zhang was angry, didn't he have a backlash, that would completely break them down. The Patriarch Shi was also angry, sure enough, you can't be too polite to them. I mean the same thing as the Patriarch Zhang. In addition, depending on what happens in the city lord's mansion, if Zhou does nothing, don't blame us for being rude to him. Don't think that you can do whatever you want in Donglan City if you are promoted to an immortal. Let's see if he won't be pulled down this time. Patriarch Zhang ordered again, it's time to let those slaves play their role, let them take the lead, I see if those ascending monks are ruthless enough. Yes, Patriarch. Brother Zhang, I'll say goodbye first, and I'll talk about it after suppressing those anti-bones. Okay, farewell. At this moment, many of the secret properties of the four major families in Donglan City were attacked frantically by unknown cultivators, and some places even responded internally and externally, and were quickly broken into and entered. Shocked many monks and forces in Donglan City. There are forces under the four major families, who flew into the air to watch the situation for a while, and deduced, it seems that the ascended cultivator has finally taken action, and it will not be easy for them to be dormant until this time to make things worse. Elder, did they solve the slave seal issue? Otherwise, the monks who fell into the hands of the Zhang family still can't be rescued. I don't know. All four families have sent reinforcements here, but there is no movement in the city lord's mansion, nor is there any patrol in the city to stop it. Could it be that the city lord Qiao is not helping each other this time? If you want me to say, city lord Qiao can't stand those families anymore. City lord Qiao has already become an immortal, so why bother getting involved in the mess of those families? The Zhang family and the other four families have some secret industries, such as some precious mineral veins, most of which are used by slaves. Xia Kunran and the others also found these locations after a long period of investigation, so they took the lead in attacking these places. Because it was a key attack, and the opponent was caught off guard, the guards couldn't keep up, so they rushed in quickly. The first thing they did after entering was to rescue the monk trapped by the slave mark. These monks included ascension cultivators, as well as local loose cultivators and cultivators caught from outside. When they found that the slave seal could no longer control them, many cultivators burst into tears. Xia Kunran and the others also brought a large amount of elixir and immortal stones, so that the newly rescued cultivators could take them quickly. Although their cultivation base was trapped in the slave seal, they could hardly improve for many years, but no matter how they came, they were not strong enough. Minato, it is not enough to deal with the top force, but to deal with the guards of the four major families, it is enough to hold them back with a bit of ruthlessness. The ores and immortal stones in several hidden industries were also emptied by them. They took away everything that could be taken away, and would rather destroy it if they couldn't take it away. Therefore, the ordinary monks in the city found that there were violent roars and explosions coming from several places, which was earth-shattering. Those with weak strength quickly closed the door to activate the protective formation. The aftermath of the fight could kill them. Damn, I want you to pay the price. The first group of clan elders finally arrived. Seeing the scene of the destroyed industry, they were furious, and they made a big move. The family guards came with the slaves. I haven't found out that the slaves in these places have been relieved. Haha, I'm waiting for you old men. Today is the end of your four families. From the ascended cultivator camp, the earth immortal who had been waiting for a long time quickly leaped out. Kill, today is not the end of their four families, it is our death, and I will be dragged behind when I die," one of the leaders shouted, and the other monks were infected. It all exploded at this moment. Bai Hen is also in this team. Her injury has been healed long ago, and she has been waiting for the moment to start the battle. The shot is quick and ruthless. Although the experience of the arena has brought her indelible scars, it has also greatly improved her. With their close combat ability, under the stance that they and the enemy are dying together, those family guards seem to be cramped, and there will be screams in a short while. Many neutral forces are watching this war of repression and resistance. No matter how dark the interior of Donglan City is, it has maintained peace for many years. Such large-scale battles and conflicts have never happened in the memory of many monks past. Although the people in the city lord's mansion did not intervene, the city lord Chiao was watching from the moment the conflict occurred. "City lord, which side do you think will win? Or will both sides lose?" Those on the sidelines can see that the ascended cultivator camp is completely desperate, and those family guards are used to showing off their power on weekdays, and when it comes to combat effectiveness, compared with the monks who often go out of the city to hunt and kill star beasts, they are a bit weak. I don't usually show mountains and do. I didn't expect that there are a lot of Earth Immortal Masters hidden in the Ascension Cultivator camp. This result surprised the people in the City Lord's mansion. They thought that the situation of these cultivators was under control, but who knew they would it developed under the eyes of the City Lord's mansion and the four major families. City Lord Chiao said with his hands behind his back, "It's hard to say, there are only the two of them. Without the intervention of outsiders, both sides may suffer, but presumably this result is what the ascended cultivator wanted. His cultivation is high enough, and he has already discovered the condition of those slaves. Some slaves turned around and killed the men and horses of the four families. This can only be explained by one situation, that is, the troubles of slave marks no longer exist. He just said, these cultivators could rashly take action, and I don't know whose hands they came from to solve this problem. City Lord, could it be that there are people behind those families?" City Lord Chiao glanced in the direction of the Zhang family and said, "There is an angel in the Zhang family. It should be from outside. It has not been shot yet, but it may not always be." City Lord Chiao found out, and the people of the four families also found out about the slaves, and their eyes were split. When these slaves defected, their own camp became chaotic. The Zhang patriarch who came here was extremely angry, and no matter what, he could not let these slaves go. When the person left, he immediately sent a message to the disciples of the Seven Stars Immortal sect who were staying in Zhang's house, asking them to help. Sang Feng received the call, and immediately said to Huo Guangyuan, who was also watching the situation outside, "Uncle, the old guy from the Zhang family finally let go, 100,000 middle-grade immortal stones, and 2 middle-grade immortal artifacts, please Shishu. Get started with us." Huo Guangyuan touched his chin and said, "These families really have a good foundation, if it weren't for them to be useful, he. The implication was that it would be better to kill them directly and scavenge their family. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 608. Qiao Shuangfeng's eyes narrowed, and he looked in the direction of the Zhang family. "Come out, the angel of the Zhang family has come out. I don't know what the old guy from the Zhang family paid to invite him to move. Does the city master know where the ferry came from? I don't know, but it must have something to do with the foreign forces that rushed to the ruins from Zhangzhou City." The immortal swept across the air quickly, and in the blink of an eye, he shook off the opponents of several elders of the Zhang family, including Xia Kunren and Leng Su. "Who is he? Is he on the side of the four major families? They will be knocked into the air when they face each other. This one is undoubtedly an angel, and an extraordinary one." Qiao Shuangfeng also saw it, took a breath and said, "This one is at least in the middle stage of Tianxian," because he also realized that if he came forward, he was not the opponent's opponent, and his strength was superior to him. The person who came was Huo Guanyuan. Although Patriarch Zhang felt the price of going out, it was more important to deal with these rebellions now, and the account would be counted on these bastards. He glared at Xia Kunren and the others, walked over and gave a respectful salute. "Senior Huo, it is these traitors who brought so many people to kill our families. Please help Senior Huo to suppress them." "Who are you? Do you know what these families are doing behind the scenes?" Xia Kunren stood up and asked. Huo Guanyuan flung his sleeves away again. Xia Kunren lost and was pulled out again, landing heavily on the ground, spurting blood again, and several ascending cultivators hurried over to save people. "You are with the monks named Gu Yao and Qi Changjai? They dare to kill the disciples of our 7 stars immortal sect. You all wait to die." At this time, Leng Su and the others also saw that this guy who suddenly appeared was a master of heaven and immortal. His aura was a few points better than that of City Lord Chiao. Obviously victory was in sight, and even the slave seal could be cracked. Do they have to lose a share? Collapse. 7-star immortal sect? In front of them, they were colluding with the Zhang family, so they couldn't see clearly what was killing the disciples of the 7 stars immortal sect, but it was just an excuse. Some cultivators showed despair in their eyes. Instead of being humiliated in the hands of the other party, it was better to drag the other party to death, so they wanted to blow themselves up. At this moment, there were several immortal shuttles flying from the sky. Before the immortal shuttles could get close, some monks flew out from inside and came towards them, and more monks flew out of the immortal shuttles, far away. There are more than 100 numbers in the past. When Leng Su saw the figures of the two of them, he was pleasantly surprised. "It's alchemist Gu and Yaoi who are here, and they brought people to help us. Is it the ancient alchemist who finally cracked the slave seal?" "Yes, it is him. Without him, we don't know how long it will take to crack it." "Great, our reinforcements are here. But the guy from the 7-star immortal sect is clearly an immortal. Can the people brought by Gu Alchemist and the others handle the immortals?" Hesitating here, Qiao Shuangfeng's eyes widened when he saw the pedestrian clearly, and he immediately sent an order, "Take our people and set off with the city master." He actually saw Luo Yang and Hu Su flying on both sides of Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, and even if he didn't like Luo Yang and Hu Su, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were named by Immortal Emperor Yu Heng himself. The cultivator who sent the immortal artifact, although he did not know what the 7-star immortal sect had in mind, Qiao Shuangfeng decided his position when he saw this pedestrian. 7-star immortal sect? The supreme elder of the 7-star immortal sect could only bow his head in front of Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. "City Lord, let's go to help the ascended cultivator," the subordinate said incredulously. "That's natural. Is it possible that the main city's mainstay can't be with them?" Qiao Shuangfeng said righteously at this moment, almost making people forget the cooperative relationship between him and the 4 major families over the years, but regardless of the past, he saw the future. The situation, this world is no longer the place where the 4 major families speak. Patriarch Zhang didn't recognize Luo Yang and Hu Su, but he saw Gu Yao and Qi Changjai flying in front. It wasn't the people they wanted to take. The young Master Zhang who died in Gu Yao's hands was Patriarch Zhang's biological son. There is no shortage, but this eldest son has always been valued by him, but he died in the hands of these 2 ascension monks. Patriarch Zhang can't wait to skin them and cramp them, and train their souls 3 times. So he jumped up immediately, pointed at Gu Yao and Qi Changjai and said, "Senior Huo, it's them, the 2 people in the middle who killed the high disciple of the 7 stars immortal section." Sang Feng also recognized it, because he saw these 2 people with Bigo and the others in the starry sky that day, and said in a low voice, "Uncle Shi, it's them." No, Uncle Shi, the people around them, I didn't see it, did I?" Sang Feng was startled. Why did Luo Yang and Hu Su appear beside Gu Yao and Qi Changjai? Looking back, it was obvious that the two men were behind him. He had not forgotten the scene where the fight was in full swing in the starry sky that day. Patriarch Zhang did not understand what Sang Feng said, nor did he see Huo Guangyuan's change in expression, so he volunteered and said, "Senior, I will bring the Zhang family to arrest the murderer for the senior and the 7-star Immortal section. Roll." This time, Huo Guangyuan pulled Patriarch Zhang out with one sleeve, and Patriarch Zhang fell all the way to stabilize his figure. "What's going on?" Patriarch Zhang and the other Zhang family members who were in doubt looked up and saw Huo Guangyuan greeted the group of monks, and said in mid-air, 7-star Immortal sect Huo Guangyuan is here, I don't know that Senior Luo and Senior Hu are here. Lost and welcome. The Zhang family was shocked. Who were these guys who came with the two murderers? Why does Huo Guangyuan still call him Senior? Could it be that the cultivation base is still above him? Above the fairy is the fairy. Luo Yang looked at Huo Guangyuan with a playful look, pointed at Guyao and Qi Changjai with one hand and asked, "You just wanted to arrest my two brothers. Is that right?" "Brother?" Huo Guangyuan, Sang Feng, and other disciples who followed behind, almost couldn't control the figure in the air and fell. Huo Guangyuan's face twitched, he glanced at Guyao and Qi Changjai and said, "Misunderstanding, everything is a misunderstanding, and it is because we listen to greedy words. It is the small family in this place who has identified the two brothers of Senior Luo as murdered. The two disciples in our sect, I understand now, they are trying to kill people with a knife, and when Huo Mao will take care of them, they will make amends to Senior Luo." Patriarch Zhang was so frightened that he trembled and cried out, "Senior Huo, it's clearly them. They killed the two disciples of the 7 stars Immortal section, I have evidence." But the next moment, Patriarch Zhang's voice stopped abruptly, a sharp sword stabbed his body in the opposite direction, and even his soul was instantly obliterated. He killed people here, but Huo Guangyuan still smiled and said, "This kind of villain dares to slander these two fellow deists in front of Senior Luo, it should be killed. I think the two disciples of our sect are died in their hands. After returning to the sect like this, we also have an explanation for the elders." A demon cultivator behind Luo Yang laughed, "You're not bad, you're very good, you're right, this kind of villain is punished by everyone, and you dare to slander our Lord's brother." A group of demon cultivators laughed like a group of demons dancing in the sky, but they completely stunned the others. They did not expect that Huo Guangyuan, who had been overwhelmed by them before, turned around and changed his position. "City Lord Chiao, who was coming here, I also heard that my eyelids were twitching. I used to think highly of this heavenly immortal disciple of the 7 stars Immortal sect, but now it seems that it is nothing more than that." Although Xia Kunran and Leng Su were also stunned for a moment, they quickly reacted and almost cried with joy. "I didn't expect the reversal to happen so quickly. With these people joining in, no, even if they were just on the side, they were destined to be the 4 great families today. The end of the day." So the two rushed out again. "What are you waiting for? Pick up the fairy weapon, and vow to settle the account with them today. Kill it. Kill. Today we will avenge the brothers who died at their hands. I want to avenge my Taoist companion. My Taoist companion was forced to death by them." City Lord Chiao arrived, bowed his hands and greeted Luoyang Huixu, turned to Guyao and Qi Changjai and said, "The 4 families of Jiangxi, Lijiang, and Zheng are really cancers in Donglan City, and the city owner wanted to uproot them long ago. The city lord will personally take people to clean them up." "Thank you, City Lord." Guyao smiled. No matter what City Lord Chiao's intention was, he would not push the help to the 4 families at this moment. Where, the City Lord has been slack in the past, and he will make amends after cleaning up these cancers. "Go, follow the City Lord to kill the enemy." Chiao City Lord waved his hand, and the guards of the City Lord's mansion that came with him went to kill the 4 big ones together. "Family. 2 seniors, wait a moment, we'll come when we go," Guyao said to Luo Yang and Hu Su, and joined Qi Changjai in the battle. The three Fangkyubai were also busy catching up. Wait for us, how can we be less in this kind of battle? Because of the defection of the disciples of the seven-star Immortal sect, coupled with the addition of the monks brought by Guyao and Qi Changjai, and the guards of the city lord's mansion, the entire battle situation has completely turned to the ascended monk camp. Even if Luo Yang, Hu Su, and their subordinates didn't make a move, the monks of the four families were so frightened that they had to wet their pants when they saw this battle. Guyao and Qi Changjai don't care whether these people are innocent or not. If they start today, they must uproot the four families and suppress them completely. In the future, they will be held as slaves, whether they are ascended monks or local monks. The anger can't be reproduced, and if you want to fight, you will be afraid of them. Qi Changjai was holding the middle-grade Immortal sword. Where the Immortal sword pointed, the sword energy was vertical and horizontal, reaping the lives of several monks in an instant. Guyao's momentum was also not small. Condensed into a bunch and rushed towards the team of the four families. After bursts of explosions sounded, there were screams. Hu Su above touched his chin and looked at it with great interest, and said, "You two little brothers are not weak." Luo Yang said, "Of course, don't look at who the brother is." Luo Yang went to the next glance. I saw that Qi Changjai had picked up a clan elder who was at the peak of the earth Immortal. The old guy was clearly above Qi Changjai, but he was pressed and beaten by him at this moment, which made him even more embarrassed. But then his scalp was numb, and he waved his hand and slammed a punch in the void, revealing murderous intent. Who is hiding above, still wanting to attack my brother? Guyao also felt a crisis at that moment, and quickly moved his position between the lightning and flint. With a bang, a person hidden in the void revealed his figure. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 609. Qi Changjai rushed to Guyao's side as soon as possible, and the two of them looked up into the sky together, but they couldn't see the man's face at all. After Luo Yang threw a punch to stop the man's sneak attack on Guyao, the man also he rushed out and fought the man. Give this person to me, Hyugzu, look down below. Hu Su squinted his eyes and saw that when it comes to cultivation, U11 is even better than Luo Yang, but compared to Luo Yang, he has a lot of scruples. While forced to accept Luo Yang's tricks, he has to hide his identity. This prevented him from exerting his full strength. Hu Su couldn't help guessing, who was this guy who attacked, and one of the immortals who appeared in the starry sky that day? Of course, it is more likely that he was the first guy who came here to cast the immortal backtracking art, so he locked his eyes on the most suspicious Guyao. The battlefield between the two has been transferred from the sky above Donglan City to the starry sky outside. The nebulae and storms in the starry sky pose no threat to the two of them. They even have to give way automatically. The ground rolled back, and some people were even far away, and were scratched and injured by the aftermath. Qi Changjai's eyes were cold, and sure enough, this place is no longer their place to stay for a long time. He couldn't expose Guyao to danger. If it wasn't for Luo Yang and the others, the guy who was hiding behind him just now succeeded. Kill the enemy first and settle the matter here. Yaoi held Qi Changjai's hand and said calmly. Qi Changjai then let go of his hand and said, "Okay." Qi Changjai didn't seem to see anything strange on his face, but when he shot again, his sword Qi was a little more violent than before. No one could get close to him at all. Those Zhang family disciples and guards were completely lost. With their fighting spirit, some people lost their immortal weapons and begged for mercy, hoping that others would spare their lives, but neither Qi Changjai nor the ascended monk camp showed mercy. When the battle was over, Luo Yang also flew back from outside. Luo Yang said disdainfully, "The guy who hit his head and his tail actually ran away. Don't let Lao Tzu catch him next time, otherwise he will have to be skinned." Hu Su has been paying attention to the battle outside, He knows the whole battle process very well, and said with a sneer, if we continue to fight, wouldn't his identity be exposed, which is the opposite of his original purpose, otherwise, where would you Luo Yang be? The opponent's opponent. Luo Yang was not convinced, who said that he is no longer his opponent? He gave me a chance to prove it and see who is inferior. Qi Changjai, who was full of suffocation, flew Guyao over and said with sincerity, thank you, senior, for stopping me. Luo Yang's face changed, and he waved his hand with a hearty smile and said, what, it's a pity that this guy ran too fast and couldn't be caught by my brother. He said he was called Big Brother, don't call him senior. Qi Changjai also said cheerfully, okay, thank you Big Brother Luo Yang. The elder brother also shouted a lot more than before, and Luo Yang was relieved to hear it. On this day, several forces joined forces to shovel the four families upside down. Under the situation of one-sidedness, no matter where the monks were, they were powerless to resist the retreat. Some family members even knew that the situation outside was not good, and they took advantage of the situation. Before they came, they hurriedly grabbed some of their family wealth and fled. In the process, the details of the four major families were completely exposed to the monks, including the ordinary monks in Donglan City, and the monks from various forces who followed Guyao and the others. To be able to achieve this level, what is the difference between it and the evil demon? Some monks pretended to be righteous people and couldn't help but help, which also accelerated the demise of the four major families. Ordinary monks also walked out of the house, and the rescued slaves included the missing among these common monks. In such a world, disappearance often means death, but I did not expect that these missing persons were actually imprisoned as slaves, and even in some mines, many corpses were found after death. After the battle, Xiakunren Lengsu and the others brought together with the people from the city lord's mansion to sort out the properties of the four families. These properties are undoubtedly not small in scale, and even the immortal stones and other property that they have recovered are very large, which is very impressive. It's hard not to be distracted. However, Xiakunren and the others also knew the truth of the guilt, and their strength was still not strong enough. If it wasn't for Guyao and the others to bring people over this time, a single angel could kill them all, so they wisely just divided up part of it is used to place the rescued monks, and part of the resources for cultivation. These resources will soon be transformed into their cultivation base, which will be improved as soon as possible. Even if there were other ideas, these ideas were quickly extinguished under the watchful eyes of the city lord's mansion and Luo Yang Hyugzu's group of powerful cultivators. City Lord Qiao and Xiakunren specially opened an extremely luxurious manner to entertain Luo Yang, Husu, and their subordinates, with good wine and vegetables, so the scene of a group of demons dancing wildly reappeared in the manor. This manor is naturally one of the spoils. Inside the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, there is also a controversy surrounding Donglan City. In the eyes of some local cultivators, Xiakunren's actions were undoubtedly outrageous and chaotic. Such behavior should not be tolerated, and Asgard should come forward to punish them. But there are also monks who got the news and received images from Donglan City, the monk slaves who were tortured miserably. This is what happened in the realm of Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. Once this kind of situation spreads, UPIO the public opinion and image of Snow Immortal Palace are very unfavorable, and there is no guarantee that there will be no forces to attack Piaoxiu Immortal Palace and Piaoxiu Immortal Lord. The contradiction lies in how to treat the Ascension cultivators, but don't forget, since the Ascension pool will appear, it is the way of heaven that is allowed. Could it be that you can't do it against the way of heaven? Even everyone here, maybe the ancestors did not know which generation also flew up from the lower realm. Don't forget, everyone, Immortal Emperor Yuheng is probably still in the realm of our Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. He is also an ascended cultivator. If Immortal Emperor Yuheng is annoyed and let him do it himself, you can afford the consequences. In other words, when our local monks are dominant, Are you still so unconfident that you can't beat the ascended monks? Are you worried that they will overwhelm you in the future? The high-level people are arguing, and the middle and low-level monks are also very concerned about the situation in Zhangzhou City and Donglan City. Some monks can't wait to go over to see it in person. Thinking about the scene where Xianjun and Xiandi appeared before, they were very excited. This time, Luo Yang and Hu Su were involved in Donglan City, so it was impossible for the movement to be small. It is said that the Luoyang demon lord has also scared away an unidentified immortal lord. Whether it was Zhou Donglan or Li Hongyi, they couldn't sit still, but even if they hurried back, it wouldn't help. Although Zhou Donglan was not a direct descendant of the four major families, he also had close in-laws, so Feng Rumei's eyes, who looked at Su Chen when he heard the news, almost burst into flames. It's you. It's all the good things you guys have done. Zhou Donglan wished he could tear them apart. Feng Rumei also wanted to tear up Zhou Donglan, but on the surface they were not allowed to fight infightingly, but they looked at Zhou Donglan unceremoniously. Do you dare to tell the whole immortal world what you did in private? Just shut up. Su Chen was even more painless, mocking, what kind of cause, what kind of fruit is this, doing whatever you want for so many years, do you really think that you can replace the way of heaven? I regret it. I didn't stay there. I cut a few more people with Gu Yao and the others. If you think you shouldn't be Zhou, why don't you try it yourself? Zhou Donglan panted his nostrils one by one, stared at Su Chen. Su Chen glanced at Li Hongyi, who was completely silent, and dragged Feng Rumei away. Although the Li Hongyi has a good impression, the Li family seems to be less arrogant than the Zhang family, but the Li family did not stay out of those things, so they are not innocent. Zhou Donglan had nothing to do with Su Chen and Feng Rumei, so he turned around and shouted at Li Hongyi, what about you? Are you just sitting and watching the four great families and Donglan City being destroyed by them? Li Hongyi looked at him lightly, as if he had just woken up, and said, what else can you do? You can't stand up in righteousness, and you can't compete with them in terms of strength. What Su Danqi said is right. What is the reason? What fruit? Besides, your Zhou family is actually an in-law, not a real direct line, so you may not know it, the family is all ready to retreat. Her Li Hongyi came to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace for one of them. In addition, the family secretly sent some talented young children out. It's okay if nothing happens. If something happens, these children will be the continuation of the family. Li Hongyi only hopes that these children, the descendants of the family, can learn the lessons of their ancestors and no longer cause such calamities as slave marks. Zhou Donglan's face was flushed red. He really didn't know these things. He thought that his cousin was not much different from his direct line. Su Chen regretted not being able to participate in the battle in Donglan City, but at the same time, he was delighted. Gu Yao sent a letter, and he would come to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace soon. Feng Rumei saw his expression and guessed, is it possible that Master Gu and the others are coming? And Master Su, are you really not going to the inner hall? Alchemist Rui took a fancy to Su Chen's talent in alchemy and wanted him to enter the inner hall of the alchemy hall, but Su Chen only wanted to be a disciple of the outer hall. Feng Rumei was also puzzled, such a good opportunity, why should he give up? Su Chen smiled and said, isn't the outer hall different from studying alchemy? Let's not talk about it, I have an appointment with someone, so I'll go first. Feng Rumei saw that Su Chenfei's direction was out of Asgard, and shook her head with a smile. Even if Su Chen didn't enter the inner hall, the alchemy technique was above her. She shouldn't worry about these trivial matters. Su Chen made an appointment with people, and at the price of helping people make alchemy, he asked people to inquire about news from outside, especially related to the demon world, so he ran out whenever he had time. Coincidentally, Su Chenayu's person was also a manager of Fenjiun firm. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 610. Teng Lianghe first congratulated Su Chen when he saw Su Chen. Su Chen looked at him and said, "Should manager Teng or Fenjian firm be well informed, get the result so quickly? Tell me how the result is." Teng Lianghe said with a smile, "Alchemist Su and Alchemist Gu have a really good relationship. Alchemist Gu asked our firm to send a message to Alchemist Su, and Alchemist Su also cared about Alchemist Gu and their situation first." Su Chen urged, "Hurry up and talk about something." Teng Lianghe surrendered, okay, let's tell Dan Master Su, it's like this." The following words were transmitted by Teng Lianghe to Su Chen. Su Chen's eyes lit up when he heard it, but then he sank. "This is not right, why are you in such a hurry? You have to be sneaky." Teng Lianghe poured tea for Su Chen and said, "We, Fenjian Shang, do know about this, because an immortal monarch suddenly attacked Gu alchemist that day, but fortunately he was stopped by Luoyang demon lord. And after that time, the ancient alchemist will also strengthen his defense." That's good. Su Chen was relieved for a while, but if he didn't leave for a day, it meant that the immortal behind him would not give up for a day, and the actions of Gu Yao and Qi Changjai could really escape the eyes of that immortal. The title of Luoyang Demon Lord also attracted Su Chen, but he also believed that Gu Yao would also ask Luoyang Demon Lord about the situation without his reminder. This time Su Chen stayed for a short time and left after a while, as if he was the same as usual, but with a little more urgency in his eyes. 2 days later, Feng Rumei came to Su Chen to ask about the problems encountered in the alchemy technique, but found that the door was closed, thinking that Su Chen was in retreat and refining alchemy, so he had to give up, but he came back after a month and found that the formation of the cave was forcibly enforced. It was destroyed from the outside, and there were no traces of people living inside. Feng Rumei was shocked and hurriedly reported it. After inspection by the people sent by Asgard, it was true that some outsiders sneaked in and destroyed the formation of the cave, but before the destruction, the owner of the cave had already left. Because of the news from Donglan City and Zhangzhou City, the monks named Gu Yao and Qi Changjai have quietly disappeared from the eyes of all the monks. Contacting the situation over there, it is not surprising that someone will come to try to start with Su Chen. Obviously Su Chen also received the news early in the morning and avoided it early. Regarding the relationship between Su Chen and Gu Yao Qi Changjai, it is no longer a secret to the senior management. However, the people behind only dared to do these small actions, and dared not blatantly arrest them, because no one wanted to be approached by Immortal Emperor Yu Heng to be questioned. As for why the various forces failed to get the news in time, in the final analysis, it was Luoyang and Hu Su, who were willing to cover up for them, and even blocked everyone's attention on the bright side, thinking that Gu Yao and Qi Changjai had been in harmony with each other. They are together. When the news of Gu Yao and Qi Changjai's departure was confirmed, it was already 1 month after the demise of the 4 major families. Seeing that Luoyang and Hu Su were still eating and drinking with their subordinates, they kept their eyes on all sides of them. The forces were so angry that they jumped and cursed, but there was no name to go to them to settle accounts. This guy Luoyang is out there promoting Gu Yao and Qi Changjai as his newly recognized brothers, so is he really covering up his brothers with such sincerity? They couldn't believe that this guy didn't hide the slightest bit of selfishness. It was at this moment that Bigo and Jianyang received another batch of medicinal pills, which were run by one of Luoyang's subordinates. The 2 who received the medicinal pills could not laugh or cry. They were also kept in the dark. Yao and the others went to Donglan City to help a little bit, so it wasn't that they didn't gain anything, but they were dipped in the light of Gu Yao and the others. The last time they received the pills, they were shocked. The pills they got were almost all top-grade pills, and there was even a top-grade pill. This time, Gu Yao didn't treat them badly. Of course, they all had to keep these pills for their own use. Yes, I will never reveal it. Apart from not wanting to reveal Gu Yao's true alchemy level from them, I also do not want to spend more money in the future to obtain elixirs of the same quality. The two were happy when they remembered the performance of Huo Guangyuan and others that day. Before, they didn't know that there was still a Lu Guangyuan hidden in the team of the 7 Stars Immortal section big game. It can be seen that Demon Lord Luo Yang really takes care of them as brothers. I've always heard that Demon Lord Luo Yang is very loyal, and Gu Alchemist and Chi Dao are friendly and Blessed Bigo envied. Jianyang smiled and said, they have always had good luck, and this is not the first time, so their choice was right. As cultivators, why should they be right with Chi? Bigo nodded, you're right. In the same way, Fang Kaiubai, Lin Feng, and Mo Yanjiao only knew about Gu Yao and their departure, and the 3 of them also received a bottle of medicinal pills. When they saw the medicinal pills in the bottle, Mo Yanjiao cried out. She didn't know where the medicinal pill was. The alchemist she was looking for had always been right under her nose, but she actually went around in such a big circle. In the end, the alchemist himself told her. Mo Yanjiao felt that she's stupid enough. He complained in front of Gu Yao before, this guy is really calm. Lin Feng put away the medicinal pills and said, it's time for us to go to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. When we get there, we can get better cultivation resources. If we stay here forever, our progress will be limited. Fang Kaiubai waved his fist and said, okay, I'll listen to you this time. Mo Yanjiao also has no objection. Originally, he was reluctant to leave home and Jiangzhongqing, but this time the changes in Jiangzhongqing let everyone know how wide the world is outside. Originally, what they saw was only angels, but this time, Xianjun and Xiandi all ran away. When they came out, little Earth immortals like them were not even qualified to be cannon fodder in front of the immortal emperor. In Donglan City, Ding Ling was very surprised to see the medicine pill delivered to him, and confirmed again and again, is it really given to me by name? This time it was Leng Su who ran in person. She nodded and said, yes, this is what the alchemist Gu and Daiochi put with me in advance, and when the news of their departure comes out, let me hand it over to the Daoist friend. Yes, it is said that I am very grateful to Ding Dao for taking care of them. Hearing this, Ding Ling squeezed the bottle of the medicinal pill tightly in his hand, knowing where the gratitude came from, but he didn't show it on his face. It's a pity, I have been in seclusion some time ago, I still remember that year. The scene where the 2 fellow Daoists have just ascended from the lower realm, in a blink of an eye, their cultivation will surpass that of Ding Mao. Haha, that's right, Alchemist Gu and Daiochi are very talented and can go further in the future. Dao Ding, if you have anything, you can come and find us. Okay, thank you. Ding Ling watched Leng Su go away, turned around and opened the bottle to look at the medicine pill in his eyes, and immediately put it away. His heart beat 2 more beats than usual, and the medicine pill in the bottle was of much higher quality than the medicine he had bothered to get. Although Ding Ling felt that he had a high opinion of them when he received these 2 new ascended monks many years ago, he did not expect the current situation, the entire Donglan city would change because of them. They will be uprooted because of them. Ding Ling knows that the future of the Ascension monks in Donglan city will be greatly changed. I believe that these latecomers will appreciate the efforts of their predecessors. Book. At a transfer station in the starry sky, Su Chen, who came by the spaceship, finally reunited with Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. What does it mean that the plan can't keep up with the changes? That's what they say. Qi Changjai really wanted to abandon Su Chen and live with Gu Yao in the 2-person world, but now it is not safe to leave Su Chen in Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, so he can only ask Fenjiun Business to help, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai themselves. He also secretly boarded the spaceship of Fenjiun firm and left quietly. At this time, it was only half a month after they left Donglan City, and there was no way to know if the news of their departure had come out there, so after meeting with Su Chen, they set off quickly, leaving the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace as far as possible, because they did not those who dare to compare their footsteps with those of the Xianjun level. I just hope that the longer it can be covered up, the better. As soon as they met, Gu Yao threw a jade pendant to Su Chen. He and Qi Changjai each had one. They came from the hands of Hu Su. After Su Chen learned about the function, of course he put it on without saying a word, and when he entered the cabin of the spaceship, he looked at the strange faces of Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, and said, "You guys are really good at it. The world has been turned upside down. It would have been great to have known that I stayed there. You don't know, the monks in the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace are also talking about the two of you. I envy your good luck. You are in the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace this time. Go, you're famous, you know." As far as he knew, there were quite a few cultivators who wanted to go to Jiangzhongqing and have a comparison with Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. They didn't think they would be worse than these two. After defeating the two, they might be able to enter Yuheng. Immortal Emperor's eyes. After listening to their foolish dreams, Su Chen was speechless. Qi Changjai glanced at him. "If you dislike the quiet days before, you can stay in Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. During this time, someone will definitely come to you. But, don't." "Waiting for someone to come to clean up my life," Su Chen said angrily. By the way, what's the situation in Donglan City now? He was still concerned about the situation in Donglan City. After all, the spiritual world cultivators they had been in had to ascend from there. Gu Yao said, "If the foreign forces don't intervene, Donglan City will no longer have the power to restrict the city lord Chiao," but the city lord Chiao agreed, "and the monks in the city lord's mansion will account for a certain proportion of the monks, so there will be ascension monks to supervise. The situation of those four families will hardly happen again. It is still unavoidable that they will form a group. The root of it still lies in the allocation of resources, but it is also 100 times better than the original. At least there will be no situation where they are forced to be marked as slaves." Su Chen nodded. "Those who are capable will always find an opportunity to come forward, and those who are incompetent can't wait for others to make a way out for them."